Green Day and the U2 as well. Mark, when it comes to the issue of fighting for a better way to pay for public school, is Jay Inslee in a situation where we have a governor who is really not that progressive, or is it that he is and his team of consultants and advisors are concerned that the legislature is going to bolt on him, including Democrats, and that's why he's a little nervous to really take this on? And with that, are these new young people coming in who are coming in, I guess, in a lot of cases for the high-tech jobs and so forth, are they coming in with a background of being more progressive than not, therefore maybe giving a buffer to Mr. Inslee? Talk to me about that.
Well, Jay Inslee is traditionally known as a very progressive governor, so that has not necessarily been the issue. I think it's more the issue of being hamstrung, hogtied by the three-quarters rule in the state legislature,
right?
And also this thin majority that the Democrats enjoy at the moment. But yes, they are kind of nervous. Tim Eyman, neocon, well, some might call in the liberal side, they call him a huckster, but he basically is a paid initiative campaigner for the right wing in Washington State, and he was able to get a three-quarters rule passed, two different statewide initiatives. As there are a lot of Republicans on the east side who are very, very conservative on fiscal matters, don't like taxes at all. So they were able to pass a statewide initiative which requires a three-quarters vote, 75%, for any new revenue. So there you go. Now you have the state legislatures, the hands are tied in terms of creating new revenue. Whenever they try, then you have the Republicans who step in and try to block it. So it becomes a political game. And what's ironic about this is that actually Jay Inslee and the Democrats, of course, enjoy a lot of support from the teachers' unions. So right now, they're sort of at odds with their own candidate. And as far as the new folks moving into the area, and it is an incredible amount of people. The population increase in Seattle has reached the Yukon gold rush level. It's like I've been saying, I call it the IT gold rush. Amazon is reportedly rumored to be interested in hiring 40,000 new employees. So you have people moving in.
And that's all in Seattle Metro?
In the Puget Sound and Seattle Metro area, yes.
Yeah.
There are so many buildings in downtown Seattle that are owned by, or at least rented out by Amazon right now, that you can't avoid them. I mean, every office building you walk into seems to be an Amazon building. So, and there's a lot of new construction going on too, and new complexes happening. But a lot of those folks are not from the Northwest. They're hiring people from all over the country and all over the world. There's probably a little bit of climatization educational process for people here to understand what the local politics are like. Because if you come from, Oklahoma, you're not going to encounter the same kind of politics in Seattle. And that's what I'm speaking of. Mostly I'm focusing on the metropolitan Seattle-Tacoma area, Martin Luther King Jr. County and Pierce County, in that I-5 corridor there. But it's very progressive. And so in Seattle and in this area, you have sort of this conflict, or I wouldn't call it a conflict, a struggle for power going on between the traditional progressives who were very, very strong in Seattle, and this new corporate influx of folks who, yes, may be considered liberal on most political issues, but are very business-oriented. So some of the candidates for Seattle City Council, who were coming from maybe a more populist or grassroots activism point of view, some of those folks did not get elected, even though they came very, very close to winning seats in the city council. But some of those candidates who won, they enjoy a little bit more support maybe from the major business community. So there's the struggle going on within Seattle the corporate influence and the real estate development versus the traditional progressives. In the rest of the state, it's just a flat-out battle between the Republicans and Democrats. And there's a lot of animosity on the east side towards Seattle, Bellevue, Tacoma, because of the fact that we are able to elect Democratic progressive governors. And so Dino Rossi ran against Christine Gregoire, two of the closest governor's elections in U.S. history. And the Republicans have even talked, some of the more extreme folks over there have actually talked about, dividing the state up because they resent the fact that there's so much power coming from the Pacific, or it's actually the Puget Sound area. So for folks who live in Yakima or Spokane, they feel like the cards are kind of stacked, the deck is stacked against them. So that's
what is the population difference between Spokane and the eastern side compared to the west?
Well, there's definitely more population on the west side.
Sure.
But it's
is it 2 to 1?
Larger. I'm not sure about that, Jeff. I would have to check into that.
Okay.
But all of the major populated cities, except for maybe Spokane, are located on the western side of the state. So,
sure. Yeah,
it's through that I-5 corridor is where most of the population is centered, from Olympia north to Everett. So the population is more dense here. There's much more land in eastern Washington. It's a much larger part of the state. So geographically, you've got a lot more ranch owners and people with apple orchards and farming, going on over there. And a different point of view, just folks who kind of don't trust those urbanites. They think that the people in the city are trying to control state politics. So in Seattle and in the western side of the state, the new flux of IT workers and biomed professionals, I think that they tend to take some time to immerse themselves into the culture to figure out what are the politics here. So in the meantime, they're not affecting the elections that much. It remains to be seen how they move, but I'm assuming that some of them will be a little bit more pro-business oriented just because they work for a major corporation.
Yeah. All right, my man. We will talk maybe next week if you're not on some holiday trip. Have yourself a great Christmas. Thank you, my man, and we will talk soon.
Hey, enjoy the holidays, everyone, and have a happy New Year. I probably will be able to talk to you next week, so I wish you that.
Fantastic. We'll talk then. All the best. New York's up next.